They had never lost a war. In 10,000 years of conquest, their fleets had burned across 100,000 worlds. Their ships were mountains of black metal and fire. Their soldiers were bred for battle from birth. And when they looked at humanity, they saw nothing but insects waiting to be crushed. Supreme Commander stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Dominion. Through the massive viewing window, he watched his armada spread across the darkness of space. 200 warships, 200 engines of death, and before them, spinning slowly in the void, was the human colony world of New Taipei. 4 million humans lived on that world. They had farms and cities and children who played in green parks under an alien sun. They had built something beautiful in the cold emptiness of space. Did not care. "Begin the bombardment," he said. His voice was calm. This was not war to him, this was cleaning. The first plasma bombs fell like angry stars. They punched through the atmosphere and struck the largest city. The explosion was visible from orbit, a ring of fire that spread outward, eating everything in its path. Buildings became dust. People became shadows burned into stone. 6 hours later, there was nothing left. 4 million lives erased. The planet's surface glowed orange with heat. Watched it all with cold satisfaction. "Send word to the conquered," he commanded. "The reclamation continues. The humans will learn their place." Far across the galaxy, in the great halls of the Galactic Conquered, Ambassador received the news. She stood in a chamber built for giants. The ceiling rose so high it disappeared into shadow. Around her sat the representatives of 12 elder races, beings of crystal and light, creatures with too many eyes, things that had been old when humanity's ancestors still lived in caves. They had ruled the galaxy for longer than human history. They had divided the stars among themselves like children sharing toys, and they had allowed humanity to exist only because humans were too small to matter. His hands shook as she activated the holographic display. Images of New Taipei filled the air, the burning cities, the dead world. She heard her own voice break as she spoke. 4 million people, she said. Murdered. We are begging for the conquered to intervene. They have no right to do this. We have broken no laws. We have threatened no one. The chamber was silent. Then slowly a sound began. It took a moment to understand what it was. Laughter. The representatives of 12 races were laughing at her dead people, at her desperate plea. The archprelate of a being of silver light and ancient cruelty, leaned forward. "Little human," it said, "they take what they wish. This is the way of the galaxy. The strong rule, the weak serve. Your kind has been tolerated in the spaces between our empires, but you own nothing. You are nothing." "You cannot simply watch while millions die," said. Tears ran down her face. "We can," the archprelate replied. "We have. We will continue to do so. Go home, little human. Enjoy what time your species has left. Return to Earth with empty hands and a broken heart." In the great war room beneath the mountains of Switzerland, humanity's leaders gathered. Presidents and generals, scientists and admirals. They stood around a table covered in maps and projections, and they faced the truth together. General spoke first. His voice was tired. "We have 43 warships. They have sent 600 to continue the reclamation. Even if we gathered every vessel humanity has ever built, we could not win a single battle against them." "Then we negotiate," suggested President Wei. "We offer them whatever they want." "They want our extinction," Admiral Cole said quietly. He was an old man with gray hair and steady eyes. He had spent 40 years in the fleet. He had seen humanity grow from a single planet to 100 colonies, and now he watched it all begin to fall apart. They do not want our resources. They do not want our surrender. They want to erase us from existence because we had the audacity to exist at all. "Then what do we do?" someone asked. The question hung in the air like smoke. Admiral Cole looked at his hands. He thought of his on Earth. He thought of the colonies still waiting for the to arrive. He thought of 4 million people on New Taipei who had woken up that morning not knowing it was their last day. "We fight," he said. "Even if we cannot win, we fight because that is what humans do." The room fell silent. Everyone knew what that meant. A war they could not win. A sacrifice that would mean nothing. The death of their entire species, buying perhaps a few more months of existence. Then Cole's personal communicator buzzed. He looked at the screen and went very still. Admiral General asked, "What is it?" Cole read the message again. 2 words from a place that did not officially exist. A project that had consumed 30 years and more resources than anyone would ever know. A desperate gamble made by desperate people who refused to accept that humanity's story was over. The message was simple: "It's ready." Cole stood up. For the first time in weeks, something like hope flickered in his chest. It was a small flame, barely alive, but it was there. "I need to leave," he said. "There is something I must see." General said, "What are you not telling us?" Admiral Cole paused at the door. He looked back at the room full of frightened, determined people. His people, the last leaders of a dying species. "Perhaps nothing," he said, "or perhaps everything I will know soon." He walked out into the corridor. Above him, past the rock and stone and sky, 600 warships were already moving toward the next human world. In 3 days, another colony would burn, then another, and another. The galaxy had decided that humanity would die. The elder races had laughed at human tears. They had already begun writing humanity's final chapter. But in the darkness between planets, hidden inside a hollowed asteroid, something waited. Something that would change everything. Something that would teach the galaxy a lesson it would never forget. The strong had ruled for 10,000 years. They had forgotten what it meant to be afraid. They were about to remember. The asteroid had no name on any official map. It was simply a rock drifting in the darkness between Mars and Jupiter, too small to matter, too far from anything to notice. That was exactly why they had chosen it. Admiral Cole's shuttle approached slowly. As he drew closer, the rock seemed to split open like an eye. Hidden doors, massive and ancient, pulled apart to reveal a hollow core filled with lights and machines and secrets. Site Prometheus, humanity's last hope. Inside the asteroid, Cole found a world of metal corridors and humming generators. Scientists in white coats walked past soldiers in black armor. Everyone moved with purpose. Everyone carried the same expression on their face, exhaustion mixed with desperate hope. A woman waited for him at the end of the main corridor. She was small and old, with white hair pulled back in a tight bun. Her eyes were sharp behind thick glasses. She had spent 30 years in this place, building something impossible. "Admiral Cole," she said, "I am Doctor. Welcome to the end of everything you think you know." She led him deeper into the asteroid. They passed laboratories filled with equipment Cole did not recognize. They walked through chambers where strange lights flickered in patterns that hurt his eyes. Finally, they reached a massive door guarded by 20 soldiers. "What you are about to see," Doctor said, "has been humanity's greatest secret for 3 decades. Only 7 people on Earth know it exists. Now you will be the 8th. The doors opened. Cole had commanded warships for 40 years. He had seen the greatest vessels humanity had ever built. He thought he understood what a weapon looked like. He was wrong. The ship that floated in the center of the vast chamber was unlike anything he had ever seen. It was not beautiful. It was not elegant. It looked like a mistake, asymmetrical, covered in strange metal growths and glowing tubes that pulsed with light. It was wrong in a way that made his brain hurt just looking at it. "What is it?" he whispered. "We call it the Wrath of Terra," Doctor said. "It is the only Omega-class vessel ever built, and it will save our species." "How? It looks like it would fall apart if you sneezed on it." Doctor smiled. It was not a happy smile. Every species in the galaxy builds weapons that break the laws of physics, faster than light travel, plasma that burns hotter than stars, shields that stop anything. We tried to build those weapons too. We failed. Our physics was not good enough. Our technology was too primitive. She walked toward the ship, her hand trailing along a railing. So we asked a different question. What if we did not break the laws of physics? What if we broke something else instead? Cole followed her. What do you mean? Probability, Admiral, chance, luck. She turned to face him. Everything that happens in the universe is based on probability. A gun fires and the bullet probably hits its target. A reactor runs and it probably stays contained. A heart beats and it probably continues beating. She pointed at the ship. This vessel does not use weapons as the galaxy understands them. It uses a cascade engine, a device that manipulates probability on a scale never before achieved. It does not destroy enemies. It makes their destruction inevitable. Cole stared at the ugly ship. That is impossible. 30 years ago, I would have agreed with you. Doctor's voice grew soft. Then a ship crashed on Mars, a dying alien inside. It was not from any of the 12 conquered races. It was from a 13th race, one that had been erased from history 10,000 years ago. Erased by whom? By the conquered, because this 13th race discovered the same technology we now possess. The elder races were so terrified of it that they committed genocide. They killed every member of that species. They burned their worlds. They destroyed every record of their existence. She paused. But one ship escaped, and it found us. Why would they give this to humanity? Because they knew we would need it. Because they looked at the galaxy and saw that the cycle would repeat, the strong crushing the weak forever. Doctor's eyes were hard. They gave us the key to ending that cycle. Cole walked closer to the ship. He could feel something now, a strange vibration in the air, like reality itself was humming around the vessel. What do you need from me? He asked. The ship requires a crew of 7, only 7. The mental strain of operating the Cascade engine is more than most minds can bear. We have found 6 people with the right neurological patterns. We need a captain, someone who can make the hard choices, someone who understands that this mission will probably kill everyone aboard. You want me to captain a ship that will kill me? I want you to captain a ship that will save humanity. Yes, Admiral, the cost is high. The crew knows this. They volunteered anyway. Cole thought of his. He thought of New Taipei burning. He thought of the laughing as they murdered millions. Show me the crew, he said. They met in a small room near the ship. 6 people sat around a metal table. They were young and old, male and female. They looked at Cole with eyes that had already accepted death. Doctor introduced them one by one. Lieutenant, a pilot who had escaped the destruction of her colony with nothing but her ship and her rage. Dr. James, a physicist who understood the Cascade engine better than anyone except herself. Sergeant, a soldier who had lost his entire unit to thee and lived only for revenge. Private Maria Santos, barely 20 years old, with a gift for mathematics that bordered on supernatural. Commander David Park, an engineer who had designed half the systems on the ship. And finally, a man with no military rank at all, Thomas, a convicted murderer who had been offered a choice between execution and this mission. Why him? Cole asked quietly, looking at. Because his brain is perfect for the engine, replied, and because everyone deserves a chance at redemption. Met Cole's eyes. There was no fear there, only a terrible, quiet acceptance. I killed 3 people, said. Bad people, but still people. I have been waiting to die for 5 years. If my death can mean something, if it can save millions instead of just ending me, then I am ready. Cole looked at each of them in turn. These 7 people, this strange, broken family, they were asking him to lead them into almost certain death. He thought about saying no. He thought about going back to Earth and waiting for the end like everyone else. Then he thought about the laughter in the conquered chamber, the contempt in the archprelate's voice. the absolute certainty of every elder race that humanity was nothing. "When do we leave?" Admiral Cole asked. Doctor smiled. This time it reached her eyes. "The fleet will reach Elysium Ivy in 3 days. 600 warships against one colony of 2 million people." She stood up. "I suggest we introduce ourselves." In the hollow heart of a forgotten asteroid, 7 humans walked toward an impossible ship. They carried with them the hopes of their entire species. They knew they would probably die. They went anyway. That was what made them human. 600 warships hung in the darkness above Elysium Ivy like a swarm of hungry insects. Each one was a mountain of black metal and burning engines. Each one carried enough firepower to crack a continent. Together, they were the largest armada ever assembled for a single conquest. Supreme Commander stood on the bridge of his new flagship, the Endless Conquest. He had transferred here after New Taipei, wanting a fresh vessel for fresh kills. Through the viewing window, he watched the human colony below. 2 million people lived on that world. 2 million lives waiting to end. "Supreme Commander," his sensor officer called out, "we are detecting an anomaly." "Turned, explain." "A vessel is approaching. Single ship, no escort. It appears to be human." Laughter rippled through the bridge. 1 ship against 600. The humans had finally lost their minds. "Show me," commanded. The main screen flickered. The image that appeared made several officers gasp. The human ship was ugly, twisted metal and strange lights, asymmetrical and wrong. It looked like something a child had built from garbage. "What is that thing?" asked. He felt no fear, only curiosity, like a predator examining an unusual insect. The ship came closer. It made no attempt to hide or flee. It simply flew directly into the center of the formation and stopped. A communication signal arrived. Accepted it. Admiral Cole's face appeared on the screen. He looked old and tired, but his eyes were steady. "This is Admiral Cole of the Terran vessel Wrath of Terra. I am giving you one chance to withdraw your fleet and end the reclamation. Leave now, and you may live." Stared at the screen. Then he began to laugh. The sound was harsh and cruel, like breaking glass. "1 ship," he said. "You bring 1 ship against 600 and you demand our surrender. Human, you are either insane or stupid." "I am neither," Cole replied calmly. "I am simply offering you a choice. What happens next is your decision." Ended the communication. He was still laughing. "All ships," he broadcast to his fleet. "Destroy that vessel. Leave nothing but dust." 300 warships opened fire. The space around the Wrath of Terra became a storm of plasma and light. Beams of energy that could melt mountains crossed through the void. Missiles that could shatter moons screamed toward the tiny human vessel. Nothing hit. Stopped laughing. Every shot missed, not deflected, not absorbed by shields. Missed. Plasma beams curved away at the last moment. Missiles flew past by inches. Targeting systems reported direct hits, but the human ship remained untouched. "What is happening?" demanded. "Fire again. All ships concentrate fire." 600 warships fired at once. The amount of energy released could have burned a small star. It all missed. Every single shot curved away from the human vessel as if reality itself refused to let them connect. On the bridge of the Wrath of Terra, Admiral Cole sat in the captain's chair. Around him, his crew worked in silence. Their hands moved across controls that glowed with strange light. Their eyes were unfocused, their minds connected to the Cascade engine. Snow's was bleeding. James' hands were shaking. Thomas sat perfectly still, his eyes rolled back in his head, his lips moving in endless silent calculations. "Engine at full power," Maria Santos whispered. "Probability field stable. They cannot touch us." Cole watched the storm of fire outside, watched it all curve away like water around a stone. "Begin primary sequence," he said quietly. The Wrath of Terra did not fire a weapon. It did not launch missiles or project beams of energy. Instead, something else happened. Something that would haunt the nightmares of every species in the galaxy for generations to come. Reality stuttered. Aboard the ships, impossible things began to happen. In the ammunition storage of the first destroyer, a spark appeared where no spark should exist. The ammunition exploded. The ship vanished in a ball of fire. In the reactor room of a cruiser, a containment field flickered. Just for a moment, just long enough. The reactor went critical. The cruiser became a small sun. A navigation officer's hand slipped. Wrong coordinates entered. The ship turned directly into its neighbor. Both died in a crash of metal and fire. A weapon misfired. A bulkhead cracked, an airlock opened, a fuel line leaked. Every ship, every system, every tiny piece of the vast armada began to fail in ways that should have been impossible, not because of damage from outside, but because of chance. Terrible, impossible, calculated chance. Watched his fleet die around him. Ships exploded without being hit. Vessels crashed into each other despite perfect spacing. Soldiers died when their own weapons turned against them. "What is this?" he screamed. "What are they doing to us?" His sensor officer was weeping. "Nothing, Supreme Commander. They are doing nothing. They are just there, and we are dying." In 11 minutes, 600 warships became 600 expanding clouds of debris. The greatest armada in history reduced to atoms, not by superior firepower, not by clever tactics, by pure, calculated inevitability. The endless conquest alone remained intact. The Wrath of Terra had left it untouched, on purpose. Cole's face appeared on screen again. "Your fleet is gone," Cole said. His voice was tired. Blood dripped from his left eye. "Go home, tell your people what happened here. Tell the conquered, tell everyone." "What are you?" whispered. "We are human," Cole replied, "and we are done being afraid." The communication ended. The human ship turned and vanished into faster-than-light travel, leaving alone in a graveyard of his own making. The Supreme Commander stood on his bridge for a long time. He looked at the debris that had been his fleet. He thought about his species, so proud of their military might. He thought about 10,000 years of easy victories against lesser races. He thought about what would happen when humanity came for the. Slowly walked to his personal quarters. He recorded a message for the conquered. He sent the battle footage. He explained what had happened, though he did not understand it. Then he took his ceremonial blade and ended his own life. His final words, recorded for all to hear, spread across the galaxy like a plague. "They do not fight like we do. They do not fight at all. They simply decide that you have already lost." On Elysium IV, 2 million humans looked up at the sky. They had expected death. Instead, they saw only stars and the fading glow of destroyed warships. They did not understand what had saved them. They only knew that they were alive. Aboard the Wrath of Terra, Admiral Cole sat alone in his quarters. His hands were shaking. His hair had turned white in the last hour. He could feel the ship's engine in his mind, a constant pressure that never stopped. He thought about the crews, thousands of them. Most had simply been soldiers following orders. Now they were dead because of him. He did not regret his choice. He would do it again. But he understood now what it meant to hold this power, what it cost to use it. The galaxy would learn to fear humanity. But first, humanity would have to learn to fear itself. The footage spread across the galaxy like fire through dry grass. Every species, every world, every leader watched the same impossible images. 600 warships dying in 11 minutes. A single ugly vessel floating untouched in the center of destruction. Reality itself bending around a human ship. In the conquered council chambers, the representatives of 12 elder races sat in terrified silence. They had ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years. They had crushed 100 species beneath their feet. They had never known fear. Now they knew nothing else. The archprelate of the was the first to speak. "This must be a trick, some form of advanced technology we do not yet understand. We will study it. We will counter it." "With what?" demanded the ambassador. His crystalline body pulsed with anxious light. "We watched 600 ships fire at once. Nothing touched them, nothing." "Then we send more ships. 1,000, 10,000, eventually." "Eventually what?" The representative, pale and shaken, rose to his feet. "You did not watch your own ships explode from the inside. You did not hear your own soldiers scream as their weapons turned against them. They did not break our fleet. They made our fleet break itself." Arguments erupted throughout the chamber. Fear made them loud. Fear made them stupid. 3 species demanded immediate attacks on Earth before humanity could build more ships. 2 others wanted to flee to distant galaxies. The rest simply screamed at each other, desperate for solutions that did not exist. In the end, 3 races decided to act. The hegemony sent 40 assassins to Earth. Their mission was simple: find and kill Doctor, the scientist who had built the human weapon. Without her knowledge, perhaps the weapon could be destroyed. 39 assassins died before reaching the planet. Their ships suffered malfunctions. Their weapons failed. Their own bodies betrayed them in small but fatal ways. The 40th assassin managed to reach Doctor's laboratory. He stood before her, his blade raised, ready to strike. His heart stopped, not because of any weapon, not because of any guard. It simply stopped because in that moment near that technology, his heartbeat became statistically improbable. Doctor watched him fall. She felt no satisfaction, only a deep, terrible sadness. The collective sent a fleet of 100 warships to ambush the wrath of Terra. They had studied the footage carefully. They believed they understood the weapon's limitations. They were wrong. The ambush fleet arrived at their designated coordinates. The wrath of Terra was waiting for them. The battle lasted 7 minutes. The only survivor was a single pilot found drifting in an escape pod, repeating the same words over and over. They knew we were coming. They knew everything. The Empire tried a different approach. They launched their fastest ship directly at Earth, carrying a planet-killing bomb. If they could not defeat humanity's weapon, they would simply destroy humanity's home before the weapon could respond. The ship never arrived. Its navigation systems failed 2 days into the journey. When rescue vessels found it, the crew was dead. They had killed each other in a sudden outbreak of violence that no one could explain. 3 attacks, 3 failures. The galaxy began to understand there was no defeating this weapon. There was no hiding from it. There was only survival or death, and humanity would decide which. Aboard the Wrath of Terra, the cost of victory grew heavier every day. James died first. He simply did not wake up one morning. The doctors said his brain had burned out, overwhelmed by the constant connection to the Cascade engine. They buried him in space, his body drifting among the stars he had helped to save. What next? His mind broke before his body did. He spent his last days talking to people who were not there, reliving battles that had happened decades ago. When he finally died, he was smiling, convinced he had just saved his unit from the ambush that had killed them all. The remaining crew members grew weaker. Maria Santos could no longer do simple math without pain. David Park's hands shook so badly he could barely hold a cup. Thomas had not spoken in weeks, his mind lost somewhere in the probability calculations that kept them all alive. Wrote poetry now. She documented their experiences in words that burned with truth and sorrow. Her writing spread across human colonies, shared from ship to ship, world to world. The crew of the Wrath of Terra became legends, martyrs, symbols of what humanity was willing to sacrifice. Admiral Cole watched his crew dying and knew he would join them soon. His body was failing. He bled from his eyes after every engagement. His hair had turned completely white. His hands never stopped trembling. But he kept going. They all did. because every day they survived was another day humanity survived. Then the message came. A conquered envoy requested permission to approach Earth, not with warships, not with threats, with a white flag and a delegation of diplomats. For the first time in 10,000 years, the elder races wanted to negotiate with a species they had called lesser. The meeting took place on the moon, neutral ground. The conquered sent 3 ambassadors. Humanity sent President Wei and a holographic projection of Admiral Cole, too weak now to travel in person. The conquered's offer was generous, stunning, even, full membership in the conquered, equal status with the elder races, all territorial claims abandoned, all human colonies recognized, an end to the reclamation forever. President Wei looked at the documents with wonder. "This is more than we ever hoped for," she said. "This is everything we wanted." "Then you accept?" the ambassador asked. There was fear in his voice, hope too. Cole's hologram flickered. "No." Everyone turned to stare at him. "Admiral," President Wei said carefully, "perhaps we should discuss this privately." "No," Cole repeated. His projected eyes were hard. "The conquered offers us a seat at their table, the same table where they laughed at Ambassador while millions died, the same table where they decided our extinction was acceptable because we were lesser." He leaned forward. "I do not want a seat at your table. I want the table itself burned to ashes." The ambassador's form rippled with anger. "You dare." "I dare everything," Cole interrupted. "I have nothing left to lose. My crew is dying. My body is failing. And in my hands I hold the power to end your civilizations whenever I choose." "What do you want?" the ambassador asked quietly. Cole smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. "I want justice," he said. "Not for humanity, for everyone. I will tell you exactly what I want and you will give it to me, or I will show you what this ship can really do." The ambassadors looked at each other. They had come expecting to bargain from strength. Instead, they found themselves facing a dying man who held the entire galaxy in his hands. And they realized with growing horror that they had no choice but to listen. Cole began to speak. His demands were not what anyone expected. They were so much more. And far above them all, orbiting silently in the darkness, the wrath of Terra waited, patient, deadly, ready. The galaxy would change. One way or another, the galaxy would change, and humanity would be the ones to change it. The full conquered council had not gathered like this in 3,000 years. Representatives of all 12 elder races sat in their ancient seats, their eyes fixed on the holographic figure in the center of the chamber. Admiral Cole stood before them like a ghost, pale, trembling, clearly dying, but his voice was strong. "I do not want territory," he said. "I do not want tribute. I do not want humanity to replace you as rulers of the galaxy." The archprelate of the leaned forward. "Then what do you want, human?" "3 things." Cole raised a shaking finger. "First, the conquered will release all suppressed technologies to every spacefaring species in the galaxy. No more hoarding knowledge. No more keeping others weak so you can remain strong." Murmurs swept through the chamber. Technology was power. Sharing it meant losing advantage. Cole raised a second finger. "Second, the 12 elder races will surrender their permanent seats on this council. A new system will be created. Every species gets a voice. Every species gets a vote. No one is lesser. No one is greater." Now the murmurs became shouts. This was unthinkable. The elder races had ruled forever. They could not simply step aside. "And third," Cole's voice cut through the noise like a blade, "you will acknowledge publicly that what you did to humanity was wrong. You watched millions die because you thought we did not matter. You will apologize, not to us, to every species you have ever crushed, to every people you have ever called lesser." Silence fell. The representatives stared at him. "You are insane," the ambassador said finally. "You ask us to destroy everything we have built, to surrender power we have held for 10,000 years. Yes, Cole said simply. And if we refuse? Cole smiled. It was the smile of a man with nothing left to lose. I was hoping you would ask that. He gestured, and a new holographic display appeared. It showed 12 planets, 12, the hearts of the 12 elder civilizations. The Wrath of Terra has been in high orbit above each of these worlds for the past 3 days, Cole said, simultaneously. That is impossible, the representative snarled. One ship cannot be in 12 places at once. Our ship does not follow the rules you understand. We do not travel through space. We simply exist wherever the probability of our existence is highest. Cole's eyes were cold. Right now, the probability is highest above your homes, above your families, above everything you have ever loved. The chamber erupted in chaos. Representatives screamed. Some tried to flee. Others demanded their fleets attack immediately. But deep down, they all knew the truth. They had seen what the human ship could do. They had watched 600 warships become dust. I am not threatening to destroy you, Cole said, his voice cutting through the noise. I am offering you a choice. You can accept my terms and help build a better galaxy. Or you can refuse, and I will show every species in the universe that the mighty conquered is just as powerless as everyone else. You would murder billions, the archprelate demanded. You would become worse than us. No, Cole shook his head. If you refuse, I will not destroy your worlds. I will simply disable your fleets, ground your ships, render your weapons useless, and then I will leave you to face the galaxy without your power to protect you. He paused, letting that sink in. How many species have you wronged over the? How many peoples have you crushed? Do you think they will be kind when they learn you are defenseless? The silence that followed was absolute. Hours of argument followed. Debates, threats, pleas, but in the end there was only one possible outcome. The elder races had no choice. Against the power Cole wielded, they were helpless. One by one, the representatives voted to accept. The galaxy changed that day. The old order ended. A new charter was written, one that promised equality to every species, large or small. Technologies that had been hoarded for were shared freely. The lesser races were lesser no more. Humanity was offered a seat on the new council. They took it, but they did not take leadership. They did not become new tyrants. They simply took their place among equals, nothing more. And then the hardest part came. The Wrath of Terra drifted alone in empty space, far from any star. The ship was quiet now. Most of its crew was dead. Only Admiral Cole remained, and both were fatting fast. Cole sat in the captain's chair for the last time. His body felt like paper, ready to tear at the slightest touch, but his mind was clear. It is time, he said. Nodded. She had known this moment was coming. They all had. The Cascade engine was too dangerous to exist. If other species learned to build it, the galaxy would become a nightmare. If humanity kept it, they would eventually become the very tyrants they had defeated. The only safe choice was to destroy it completely. I will miss her, said, looking around at the ship. She saved us all. She did, Cole agreed, and now we must let her go. Together they initiated the final sequence. The Cascade engine's core was ejected into space, programmed to fall into a nearby black hole. There would be no recovering it, no rebuilding. The knowledge would die with them. They watched through as the glowing core drifted away. When it crossed the event horizon and vanished forever, Cole let out a breath he felt he had been holding for months. It is done, he said. Was crying, what happens now? Now we rest. Cole closed his eyes. We proved something important. We proved that humanity could become gods. We could have ruled the galaxy. We could have burned civilizations with a thought. He opened his eyes and looked at her. But we chose not to. We chose to put the weapon down. That is what makes us human, not the power to destroy, but the wisdom to stop. Squeezed his hand. Do you think they will remember us? They will remember. They will tell stories about the 7 humans who saved the galaxy and then refused to rule it. They will wonder if we were foolish or brave. He smiled. And they will always wonder, could we build another one? In the silence of space, surrounded by stars, Admiral Cole recorded his final log entry. This is Admiral Cole of the THS Wrath of Terra. Our mission is complete. The threat has ended. The weapon has been destroyed. I am the last surviving member of our crew, and I will not survive much longer. He paused, gathering his thoughts. We were given the power of gods. We used it to free the galaxy from tyranny, and then we gave it up. Future generations may call us foolish. They may wish we had kept the weapon, held it ready against future threats. Perhaps they are right. But I believe this. True strength is not the ability to destroy. True strength is the courage to show mercy, the wisdom to know when you have done enough, the faith to trust others with their own future. We are human. We burn bright and die fast. We love and hate and dream and fail. We are small and fragile and temporary, but we are also capable of something the elder races never understood. We can change. We can be better than we were. We can look at power and choose not to use it. That is our gift to the galaxy. Not the weapon we built, but the weapon we destroyed. Not the power we held, but the power we surrendered. Remember us, not as conquerors, not as destroyers. Remember us as the ones who could have ruled everything and chose to rule nothing. This is Admiral Cole signing off forever. The transmission ended. The ship drifted on in silence. 1 year later, a monument was built on Earth. A simple stone pillar, carved with 7 names. People came from across the galaxy to see it. Elder races and younger ones. Beings of light and creatures of shadow. They all stood before the monument and wondered at the species that had saved them. In a hidden archive deep beneath the mountains of Switzerland, a sealed file waited. Inside were complete schematics for the Cascade engine. A handwritten note from Doctor rested on top. Only if they make us, it read. Only if there is no other way, only if we are willing to pay the price again. The file remained sealed. The knowledge stayed hidden. The galaxy entered a new era of peace. But somewhere in the back of every mind, a question lingered. A question that would be asked for thousands of years. If humanity had to, would they do it again? The answer, everyone suspected, was yes. And that was why the galaxy learned to treat humanity with respect.